Tonight on The Local Live, our community comes together after a devastating fire leaves 8 Mamaroneck families homeless. Mayor Tom Murphy breaks village news. A race to prepay town of Mamaroneck taxes and lock in deductions on time. As Latimer takes office, he signs a new executive order banning gun shows on county property. And we'll be talking with the Human Rights Committee about upcoming Martin Luther King Day celebrations. These and more stories coming up. Good evening. It's Thursday, January 4th. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Kevin Vacna. Welcome to The Local Live. Let's get started. On December 23rd, 8 Mamaroneck families lost everything in an apartment fire at 349 Mount Pleasant Avenue.
And the reason we responded so quickly is because I live right across the street from this building. And so we went downstairs and just realized that those were our clients, that these families were going to be in need, and had conversations with Tom Murphy and the police chief and the fire department chief to open up CRC as a shelter that night to keep families warm. And we're very lucky that we were able to do that.
Mayor Tom Murphy broke the news on social media, asking the community for funds and donations. Residents responded by donating $37,000 in cash and gift cards. Those funds aim to secure the first month's rent and security deposit for future housing. But finding affordable housing in Mamaroneck still poses the biggest challenge.
I appreciate everybody that had done anything for us from the kindness of my heart. Also, I thank God that we're still standing on solid ground because we could have been dead. I thank God that we're still breathing. No matter what we're going through, I just ask you all, if you can help us with housing. I don't have Section 8. Right now I'm unemployed. I really don't have any kids. I have one child, she's 37. And I just want to say that I appreciate that everybody's here that's from the building, and we need your help. And I appreciate it if you can't help us. I appreciate the donation of the money, anything that you gave us. I appreciate it from the kindness of my heart.
And our youngest reporter, Lindsley Barrios, got the scoop from the new mayor on another story. Let's see what's new in the village.
So can you tell us the recent news for our community?
Well, Lindsay, one of the things we're doing in the village of Mamaroneck, starting Monday, January 8th, the village will be broadcasting on LMC TV the work sessions, which is very important. It's going to open up the whole process of government and how things work and allow citizens to have more information and access to what's going on in the community. So that's one of the things. And right now, as we are filming this, we're anticipating a big snowstorm. This is Wednesday night, and Thursday there's supposed to be a big snowstorm. So hopefully when people view this tomorrow, everybody will have safely recovered, the roads will be plowed, and we'll be able to go about our business like going to school on Friday. Okay.
As 2017 came to a close, local residents raced to prepay property taxes and lock in deductions that will be capped at $10,000 in 2018. Mamaroneck town officials scrambled to inform residents on what could be prepaid, with town and some school taxes okay and other village taxes not. Accountants warned that lining up too many deductions would leave you subject to the alternative minimum tax, canceling out any advantage. Nevertheless, scores of taxpayers lined up at the Mamaroneck Assessor's Office as the year came to a close. The deadline has now passed, but there's still confusion over the new tax rules, and New York State officials are looking for ways around the restrictive cap. Newly inaugurated County Executive George Latimer began implementing his campaign promises this week. Producer Kayla Coughlin has more on the new executive order which bans gun shows on county property.
County Executive George Latimer spoke to the press on January 2nd, stating that the Westchester County Gun Show does not represent Westchester values.
We're going to have cheerleading, invitational competition here, a Playland Job Fair, and Who knows, maybe we'll have Section 1 basketball back here as well, depending on what happens in our discussions. But the bottom line is that this center has always been a place for those types of family values.
People have cried out against the gun show before, especially following mass shootings. Groups like Prevent Gun Violence and Moms Demand Action have been among the most vocal protesters. Gun owners in Westchester have taken to social media denouncing Latimer's position. Posts on the Westchester County Gun Owners Facebook page show resentment toward being compared to mass shooters. Latimer said he supports the Second Amendment and his order does not prohibit private venues from hosting gun shows.
But if the Board of Legislators decides to discuss and send legislation, I would intend to sign it, which would make it a permanent ban, and then it would have to take a reversal of a law, which is a much harder process than a reversal of an executive order.
And County Executive George Latimer will be our special guest next week as we celebrate our 200th episode. Now let's go to Mike with Elizabeth Sanger, a member of the Larchmont Mamaroneck Human Rights Committee, to tell us more about the Martin Luther King Day celebration in our community.
Elizabeth Sanger, it's delightful to have you on the Local Live.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
And you're here to talk about a special event that's going to be at Homix on Sunday the 7th at
Yes.
3 o'clock.
Yes.
And it's going to be in the theater at Homix. So you're expecting a big crowd for whom?
Well, we have a beginning part of our program is the award, the Human Rights Award to Honorable Valerie O'Keeffe. And this is the award we give every year to the person in our institution and in the community that has done the most to further the ideals and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. And so that will be a very brief part, but very important. And then we have Bill Crawford, Reverend Bill Crawford from Larchmont Avenue Church will introduce Charles M. Blow, who is the op-ed writer and CNN commentator, and is a very eloquent writer and speaker, in fact. Oh, I see his picture. He looks very good. In fact, his speeches, I mean, his writings, are actually used in Mamaroneck High School advanced placement English classes just because of their eloquence.
Now, his address is titled, How Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Life and Legacy Can Help Us Navigate Our Country's Present Crisis. What is this crisis? I mean, he's famous for being very critical of President Trump. Is that the crisis?
I wouldn't say President Trump is, it's just the atmosphere that a lot of people feel of the ground shaking beneath our feet. Lawyers speak to me of their real alarm about rule of law is being questioned. There's the endemic racism. There are very disturbing events like in Charlottesville, Virginia. There's all kinds of events that really cry out for the voice and leadership of Dr. King.
And what would Dr. King's legacy be that could help us deal with these things?
The legacy of nonviolence, and I really stress that nonviolence is not a passive thing. It's a very active way of responding, and I think Dr. King would say with love, with respect and concern to crises that you see, and there are plenty, you know.
Now, of course, he also fostered a racial equality.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I'm wondering with the current immigration crisis and the questions about DACA, around DACA, that has to do with equality for all.
I would imagine that Dr. King would be in the forefront of leadership about protecting the dreamers, welcoming Muslims, welcoming people from anywhere in the country, just as our country, a nation of immigrants, has always welcomed people in a responsible way. But, you know, I think Dr. King would definitely have a lot to say about that. I think he would have a lot to say about creative nonviolent ways to respond to crises, not demonizing anyone ever, but trying to listen to what people have to say.
Of course, we don't know exactly what Charles Blow is going to say.
We do not know.
But we do know that he's a well-known, well-respected, very, very high-powered speaker. So we're in for a treat,
Yes.
as well as an education.
I think so. I think, yeah, I'm very much excited about it.
Now, you expect a big crowd, as I say.
Yes.
So let's give the details again. It's at Homix in the theater,
Yes.
and it's at 3 o'clock till about 5 o'clock?
We have to be out of there by 5.
Okay.
It's really from 3 until 4:30.
Okay.
The public is invited, free of charge. There will be light refreshments available. I have to stress that I'm not Dr. King, Charles Blow cannot really give interviews separately because of contractual obligations with CNN, especially, and other things. But he will be there to speak, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think one of the things, we have some really good quotations from Dr. King that are less familiar, but one of the more familiar ones that we always say is, it's not the words of my enemies, it's the silence of my friends that concerns me the most. And I have an idea he might want to speak about that, since he is never silent on things he
never
cares
silent.
about.
Well, we're going to end on that note. Thank you so much for coming down to the Local Live, and we'll see you on January 7th at 3 o'clock at Homix for the 31st annual Martin Luther King Jr. commemoration.
We will have signs. If anyone has a question about which door, there should be ample parking. And we'll greet.
Thank you.
It's time for Pet Rescue's Pet of the Week. Bree is a spunky 2-year-old cat. She gets along with all who are willing to pet or play with her. She is so friendly and playful, she might as well be a dog. It's sure to Bree a good time if you bring her home. Lois Lane is a 1-year-old Chihuahua mix. She is as curious and inquisitive as her heroic reporter namesake. She gets along well with both people and other pets. You can see her here sharing a cage with the shy but strong Aquaman. Bring her home today and let her be the good news you wake up to every morning. To adopt Bree, Lois Lane, or view other available pets, go to ny-petrescue.org. And that's a wrap. As always, we welcome new volunteers and interns, and we love hearing from our viewers. Send an email to thelocallive@lmctv.org. Remember, all of our shows are available anytime on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. That's all for tonight. I'm Kevin Vacna. Tune in next Thursday when we celebrate 200 episodes of Community News. Bye-bye, and happy Snow Day.